I did want to offer something from a slightly different perspective. So I wrote down a couple things. I was thinking, I think one thing that we kind of overlook is that social media, although it is a drug, it is addictive. Attention is addictive, but I think a lot of it is also um, it's people's attempt to contribute to society. I think this is people's attempt to engage into society. And I think that maybe not our generation, but the generation underneath us, I think that they've been conditioned to believe that the appropriate way to contribute to society is by sharing their life on social media. And they've been conditioned that if they don't get a certain reaction, then they haven't properly contributed to society. So I think a part of it is just about dopamine and just about addiction. I do agree with that. But I think there's more social consequences than that we're overlooking. Like during our generation, we talk about, if you wanted to talk to a woman, you go out to the club. There's not even that many clubs no more. Like and the culture of clubs has completely changed. Like when I was in college going out to clubs, $5, $10 could get you in a club, and you could drink all night and have a great time for less than $100, and people would be dancing, jumping on speakers, going wild. This generation, you can't go to the club if you're not spending $1,000. You got to get bottles, you got to get this and that, you got to get the fit, you got to get the look. It's an entirely different culture, and so everything's changed. Clubs are closing, lounges aren't popping like they used to. There's not really that many community events. People aren't really engaged in church. So there's not really many ways that, especially the youth generation, feel like they can actually contribute to society besides being on social media. So it's like a catch 22 because it's kind of designed that way. Social media has like a monopoly over social interaction in general. A lot of people don't even know how to engage outside of social media because those outlets have been stripped from them. Sure, that you could say sports. A lot of these communities don't have the sports. A lot of these communities don't have a strong church family like I did when I was young. When I was young, the people that I was closest to were the people that I grew up in church with. And the people that lived on my block. Nowadays, people don't even know their neighbors, and they're not going to church. They don't have those connections. So yeah, we can say it's definitely an addiction, and it's definitely about dopamine. But we gotta consider that society has also completely changed. And so, we were talking about, people taking pictures and all of that. How is that any different than getting your flyers fit to go out to the club? I mean, I don't necessarily agree with like the perspective that it's somehow feminine for men to take pictures of themselves, because to me it's no different than getting fly and posting up on the block. Like that's what men have always done. It's just that the outlet's not there. You can't really post up on the block no more because nobody's outside. I'm gonna give you an example. I was in Houston this weekend, downtown, and usually downtown area is the busiest part of any city, right? There was nobody outside. Like literally, there was nobody outside the whole weekend, even at night when it was supposed to be lit. Literally, ghost town. And like and it was like, if you look at old pictures of like the 80s, eh, as you go back every set of years, 70s, 60s, 50s, and you look at pictures of the streets, there were people outside literally. Like nowadays we say we outside, but literally back then people were literally on the streets everywhere. You couldn't go nowhere and not run into people. So it's like the society is very different. It's very different. Everybody's inside, everybody's in front of a computer, and the only way they know how to react is through these platforms. So it's like really it's about creating a new culture so that people have new outlets that are not digital and not social media platforms. But again, social media has somewhat of a monopoly on the dopamine, and we need the dopamine. I mean, dopamine is natural. We're supposed to get healthy levels of it, but when social media has a monopoly over it and they the only ones on the block that got it, they gonna get you hooked because they gonna make sure that they only distribute dopamine to you in a way that works for them. They're not while everything else in the community shutting down, amusement parks closing, clubs closing, dance halls closing, skate rinks closing, restaurants closing. So it's a tough situation, but I definitely agree with everything else that the other men have offered thus far.
All right, go ahead, brother.
Claude Jones, let me ask.
Hold
My
on.
bad. I just
No,
wanted
go.
to ask Claude Jones real quick. Do you post selfies like that?
Not really. I mean, every once in a while, let's say I get real fly and I'm really feeling myself type shit. Like, yeah, if my fit crazy and I might be out lit with shorty or whatever, I might, yeah, y'all got to see this motherfucker. You feel me? But to me, that's no different than posting up on the block, or like that's no different than when niggas get their car washed, and they pull up on the block, open all the doors, roll all the windows down, bumping their loudest song. You know why we do? You know why? It's a flex. It's to show up
Yeah,
and
and
shit.
that's what I'm saying. It's stunting. That's what I'm saying. Now with that, you don't think that's weird? Like because even if we take the social media aspect out of it, right? It's still men starving for attention, right? You want validation from outsiders, and that's why I say
I
it's
don't think
weird
I don't
because
think
you
it's
should.
weird. I don't think it's weird because
Nah,
if you look at even the type of music, a lot of the popular music we listen to, like "On My Mama," "On My Hood," "I Look Fly," "I Look," like it's like a part of hip hop is that feeling of I'm that nigga. And sometimes I'm not saying you should be like that every day, like that should be your focal point. I think it's okay for you sometimes to be in. It's a feeling, and sometimes I feel like it's okay. Sometimes I think it's okay to be in that feeling and enjoy that vibe. You
so
know what I
so
mean? You got
sometimes
you
it's
going
okay
out.
to be a bad bitch. That's what you're saying.
That I don't agree that that's being a bad bitch. I think that that's being a fly nigga. I don't think there's nothing
I
wrong with being a fly nigga. I
All
don't
right
think being a
now.
fly nigga is equal to being a bad bitch.
So it's the point that I'm saying is like, all right, if you know who you are, right, you know what it is that you do. That's cool. But once you start to put it out there where you need it from other people, you need people to look at you, you need people to like you need people to pay you attention. I'm gonna turn my music all the way up so everyone's looking at me, right? I understand like when you're a juvenile, that makes sense. But when you're starving for attention, you're begging for attention as an adult, to me, it's always gonna be weird.
I agree if it's a need. I absolutely agree that if it's a need, then it's strange. But I don't think there's anything. I don't think it being a want is wrong. I think that human beings are multifaceted, and sometimes that's how you're feeling. Sometimes I mean we're social creatures. We're a social species. We don't do well without. So to some degree, we need validation from others. To some degree, obviously, it shouldn't be the focal point of our lives, and we shouldn't thrive off of it. But you need it. You don't know if you're doing a good. Like for example, if you're playing a sport, you have to play with other people. You don't know if you're good at it unless you got somebody to play against. So technically, you need that validation to even be to consider yourself a worthy competitor. The validation is necessary. That's why we watch basketball. They're literally playing against each other for validation. That's the reason why. The Kobe wanted the validation that he was the best player in the world. And how did he get that validation? By constantly playing against other players and proving it. So it's like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think that social media has become the only outlet to express that. And by social media become the only outlet to express that, it's become unhealthy. But I don't think it's unhealthy to do it in other ways. Like if you just bought a brand new car and your speakers is thumping and it's outside the club and you know what I mean, and it's that time, there's always a time to play. Why shouldn't you stunt? Why shouldn't you go get your car waxed and stand outside your car with your boys, smoke your blunt and holler at the shorties? Why not? That's what the club was made for. Now, if you're doing that every day of the week and you're not paying your bills, you're not focusing on your job, and it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're out trying to do that, then of course I would 100% agree with you that that's corny. You know what I mean? So
Okay, I think I can.
everything's moderation and balance.
Yeah, I can understand what he's saying. Rev. Like I think you got. I think Cloud is basically saying it's okay to do it here and there. I think Travis saying if you're doing this shit every day and you go, hold on, I gotta get it, and it's like you're starving for attention, and you this is your daily thing where you have to take a picture of your fit. You constantly posting pictures of yourself. If you cut up, you're constantly posting pictures just of you flexing and different poses. Then it becomes too much. Then you look being looked at as a bad bitch or. But I think Cloud just saying there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we all do it to a certain degree. Whether we are dressing nicely, we looking good for our wife, or vice versa, she looking good for her husband. Either and if you do get a new car, sometimes you do. You may pull up on your uncle or something, or your family. Oh, okay, I see you, but you're not starving for it. Starving for it is like, hold on, I got to get out every light you getting out. You're trying to take a picture. I got to post this. I got to post this because you need that validation from
They
others.
looking, they looking.
But the trash point too, I can see if you're a fly person, you ain't got to take pictures yourself. Other people gonna take the pictures for you, and
Yeah.
and you may be scrolling on the internet like, oh, somebody called me, you know, or she taking pictures
Facts.
of you sitting there to her buddies like, look at this motherfucker right here.